Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Luciana. This is my YouTube channel 24 horses per second, and this is the third part for this Animeti 3D scene. This is also the first part of the shading and lighting process, and like in the previous videos, I leave useful videos about toon shading in the description box. Usually I make the materials first and then I light the scene up, but in this case, because we are using the shader to RGB node, we need to do it simultaneously because this shader is reactive to light and position. This is also why I recommend placing the camera and then while you build your materials up also work on the lighting, because if you do it after, the placement of the colors are gonna change a bit. First I'm gonna show you my settings, Eevee as render engine, so we can use the shader to RGB node, which is only available in Eevee. Enable bloom, these are my blue settings. These are my shadow settings. Color management set to standard. My frame rate is 30 frames per second. My resolution, you could definitely change the settings. And even though here my animation is set to 359 frames, I ended up rendering less frames because the animation was shorter and a bit like a loop. And world strength set to 0. This is my world without any lights. I'm gonna show you the shading process with the final lighting already, even though in the original process I went back and forward between shading and lighting. First, a sun to place my shadows where I want them. You could disable shadows if you want something completely flat. If you rotate the sun, the shadows are gonna change, as you can see. Then a spotlight for the cap. This is the spotlight alone. And another spotlight for the cake that is just a duplicated spotlight from the other one. And here we have what the spotlight alone is lighting. Now my materials. For that, I'm just gonna delete all my materials and gonna build them again, because my original process was a little long because I tested colors and nodes. I did record the original process, so while I make the materials again, I am gonna show you some original clips to show you how I solve some issues that might happen to you. Tip number 1, if you're gonna apply the scale or all the transforms, do it before shading or don't do it at all. If you do it after shading, again, because of the shader to RGB node, the placement of your colors might change a bit. Tip number 2, use references for the colors. In this case, because I'm making an anime inspired scene, I used the eyedropper in different images to copy the colors. First, the table. Before making the material, I chose a random bright color to place the height of the table for not losing the shadows of the objects. While I was making this material for the first time, I decided to rotate the table so the lines on the wood material would be diagonal. I think that gives more dynamism than if they're just horizontal or vertical. My table is already rotated, keep that in mind. Now the material, we're gonna keep the principal BSDF, and for these materials we'll need the following nodes. And these are my settings for this material, and these are 3 settings I'm gonna be showing in each material. In this case I have back face culling disabled, blend mode set to opaque, and shadow mode set to opaque as well. I'm gonna make some changes so the material looks exactly like the final render. I missed a detail while I was making it. And now we can control how dark the shadows are by moving the white slot. Now the material for the white cream. We are gonna copy this note from our table material with Ctrl+C, paste with Ctrl+V, and delete the principal BSDF. I don't want the cream to make shadows, so I'm gonna change these settings to achieve that. Now the strawberry. Again, gonna copy this note from the cream material. I'm gonna make a second material for the outline, and here's tip number 3, the order of the material slots matter in this case. Now a solidify modifier to make the outline. And here's our outline. You can choose black as an outline color, but outlines are not always black. And sometimes that makes your render look a little fake if all the objects have a black outline. And just like in the other materials with the shader to RGB node, you can control the colors that act as a fill, a shadow, and a highlight with the color ramp. Now for the half strawberries, the three are gonna have the same material. And in the mapping node, you can change the shape a bit. I changed the displacement of the cream. For the cream on top, I'm gonna use the whipped cream material and make it a single user. I'm gonna hide my overlays because that orange line might confuse us when we make the outline. And here we have our outline. And a little change to the cream material. And that's it for today's video. We're going to finish the shading process in the next one. So I'll see you soon. Bye.